This is what happens when you stop being forgiving to yourself. Everything changes. Not overnight, not magically, but permanently. Because most people aren't weak because life is hard. They're weak because they keep letting themselves off the hook. They mess up, and they forgive themselves. They waste a day, and they forgive themselves. They skip the work, and they forgive themselves. And over time, that forgiveness becomes permission. Permission to stay average. Permission to stay undisciplined. Permission to stay comfortable. And comfort is the quiet killer of potential. Look at your life honestly, not emotionally, not with excuses. Honestly. How many times did you say, "It's okay, I'll do better tomorrow," and tomorrow never can? How many times did you promise yourself change, and then broke that promise the moment it got uncomfortable? Every time you forgive yourself too easily, you teach your brain that your words don't matter. And when your own brain doesn't respect you, nothing else will. This is the part nobody wants to hear. Self-love, without self-discipline, is self-destruction. You don't need more motivation. You don't need more kindness. You don't need more excuses wrapped in soft language. You need standards. You need pressure. You need consequences. Because the version of you that keeps forgiving weakness is the same version that's keeping you small. Think about it. The people you respect the most in life aren't the ones who were gentle with themselves. They're the ones who were ruthless with their standards. They didn't ask, "How do I feel today?" They asked, "What needs to be done?" They didn't negotiate with laziness. They didn't excuse inconsistency. They didn't reward weakness with comfort. They showed up again and again and again. And that repetition forged something dangerous. Self-respect. When you stop being forgiving to yourself, you stop lying to yourself. You stop saying, "I tried," when you didn't. You stop saying it's not the right time, when you're just scared. You stop saying, "I'll start tomorrow," when tomorrow is just another excuse. You start facing the truth, and the truth hurts. The truth is, you could be further than you are right now. The truth is, you know what to do. The truth is, discipline scares you because it removes your escape routes. Because once you stop forgiving yourself, there's nowhere to hide. No more emotional loopholes. No more soft landings. No more excuses dressed up as self-care. Just action or consequences. And that's where power begins. The moment you decide that failure is not something you get to brush off, your behavior changes. When skipping the gym has a cost. When wasting time feels painful. When breaking a promise to yourself feels unacceptable. You level up fast. Not because you became motivated, but because you removed mercy. No mercy doesn't mean self-hate. It means self-respect. It means you refuse to let your future be destroyed by your current comfort. Look around. Most people are forgiving themselves straight into regret. They forgive missed workouts. They forgive bad habits. They forgive wasted years. And one day they wake up older, frustrated, angry, and they don't know why. This is why. Because nobody held them accountable. Not even themselves. When you stop being forgiving to yourself, you become dangerous to your old life. Your mornings change. Your focus sharpens. Your tolerance for nonsense disappears. You stop accepting environments that keep you weak. You stop entertaining people who drain you. You stop feeding habits that sabotage you. Because you're no longer protecting your comfort. You're protecting your potential. That shift is everything. You don't rise by being nice to yourself. You rise by demanding more from yourself. Every great transformation begins with one brutal realization. This version of me is not enough. Not because you're worthless, but because you're capable of more. And capability comes with responsibility. If you know better, you must do better. And if you don't, you deserve the discomfort that follows. That's not cruelty. That's truth. The world doesn't forgive laziness. The world doesn't forgive hesitation. The world doesn't forgive wasted potential. It just replaces you. So why should you forgive yourself for the same things when you stop being forgiving to yourself. You stop asking for easy days and start building strong days. You stop chasing happiness and start building pride. And pride lasts longer than pleasure. This is where domination starts. Not domination over others, domination over yourself, your impulses, your emotions, your excuses. If you can control those, life becomes easier because you become harder. And hard people win in the end. Not because they're heartless, but because they're disciplined. If this is hitting you right now, it's because you know you've been too gentle with yourself. You've been protecting your feelings instead of building your future. And deep down, you're tired of it. Good. That discomfort is the beginning. When you stop being forgiving to yourself, you stop bargaining with weakness. No more internal negotiations. No more just this once. No more giving lazy days a soft landing. You begin to understand something most people never do. Your mind is not your friend. Your mind is a machine built for comfort, not greatness. Left unchecked, it will sabotage every dream you have and then justify it so well that you won't even feel guilty. That's why mercy is dangerous, because mercy without discipline becomes decay. Every time you say, "I'll rest today," when you don't need rest, you reinforce weakness. Every time you say, "I deserve this," when you haven't earned it, you corrupt your standards. And standards are everything. Your life will never rise above the standards you enforce when no one is watching. People love to talk about balance. Balance is for people who are already winning. When you're behind, balance is just another word for comfort. You don't balance your way out of mediocrity. You suffer your way out. You grind your way out. You discipline your way out. The reason your life feels stuck is not because you lack talent or intelligence. It's because you've been too forgiving with your effort. You keep letting the worst version of you survive. You keep feeding it excuses. You keep protecting it from consequences. And as long as that version is alive, the stronger version never fully shows up. This is where things get uncomfortable. Because now it's not about motivation. It's about identity. You either become the kind of person who does what needs to be done no matter how they feel, or you stay the kind of person who needs perfect conditions to act. And perfect conditions never come. When you stop being forgiving to yourself, you start treating promises to yourself like contracts. Miss one workout, you make it up. Waste time, you pay it back. Slip once, you correct immediately. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Immediately. Because delay is how weakness grows roots. Discipline is not loud. It doesn't scream motivation. It whispers consistency. And consistency is boring. That's why most people avoid it. They want transformation without repetition. They want results without routine. They want success without sacrifice. That fantasy keeps them average forever. The moment you remove mercy, your environment starts to feel hostile. People will say you've changed. They'll say you're too serious, too intense, too obsessed. Good. That means you're no longer operating at their level. Comfort loves company. Growth is lonely. You'll start waking up earlier. Not because you love mornings, but because winners don't negotiate with the alarm. You'll start doing things tired. You'll start showing up unmotivated. You'll start executing when it's inconvenient. And slowly, something shifts. Your confidence stops being emotional and starts being earned. Earned confidence is different. It doesn't disappear when things get hard. It doesn't rely on praise. It comes from knowing you did what you said you would do, over and over, even when it sucked. This is how self-respect is built. Not by affirmations, by action. Every disciplined decision is a brick. Every time you choose the hard thing, you reinforce your identity as someone who can be trusted. And once you trust yourself, you become unstoppable. Most people don't fail because life beats them. They fail because they quit on themselves quietly. They stop pushing. They stop caring. They stop demanding. And they call it peace. But deep down, it's not peace. It's resignation. You weren't meant to live a life where you constantly forgive your own sabotage. You were meant to dominate your impulses, control your habits, and command your days. You were meant to become someone your younger self would look at in awe. The truth is brutal. No one is coming to save you. No one cares about your excuses. The world only rewards output, results, consistency. Everything else is noise. So when you stop being forgiving to yourself, you stop asking for sympathy. You stop explaining. You stop complaining. You start adapting. You start enduring. You start becoming dangerous. Dangerous not because you hurt others, but because you can't be controlled by comfort, fear, or emotion anymore. You move with purpose. You speak less. You execute more. You don't need motivation because your standards force action. This is where most people break. Because it's lonely here. There's no applause for discipline. No one claps when you wake up early. No one celebrates your consistency. You have to be enough. Your future has to be enough. And if you can handle that, if you can live without mercy for your excuses but with respect for your potential, then you're no longer average. You're no longer waiting. You're building. And this is only the beginning. At some point, you stop needing reminders. You stop needing speeches. You stop needing inspiration. Because discipline becomes your default setting. You don't ask yourself if you feel like doing the work. You ask yourself if it needs to be done. And if the answer is yes, you move. That's it. No drama, no emotions, no mercy. This is the moment where your life separates from the crowd permanently. Because most people live emotionally. They work when they feel good. They quit when they feel bad. They eat when they're bored. They rest when they're uncomfortable. They react instead of command. And reaction is weakness disguised as normal behavior. You are not normal anymore. When you stop being forgiving to yourself, you start operating from standards, not moods. You don't care if today was hard. You don't care if yesterday hurt. You don't care if tomorrow scares you. You show up anyway, because your identity demands it. This is how leaders are forged. This is how dangerous people are built. Not through hype, not through motivation, through relentless self-accountability. You begin to realize something terrifying and empowering at the same time. Every weakness you tolerate becomes a permanent part of your life. Every habit you allow becomes your future. Every excuse you accept writes the next chapter of your story. And once you see that clearly, mercy feels irresponsible. You stop saying, "I'll try." You say, "I will." You stop saying, "I hope." You say, "I'm building." You stop saying, "One day." You say, "Today." Language changes behavior. Behavior changes identity. Identity changes destiny. And destiny does not care about your feelings. This is where your circle changes. Not because you hate people, but because you outgrow comfort conversations. Small talk feels like a waste. Complaints sound pathetic. Excuses sound insulting. You don't need to say anything. Your silence becomes heavy. Your presence becomes uncomfortable. Not because you're arrogant, but because you remind people of who they're not willing to become. And that's fine, because you didn't choose this path to be liked. You chose it to be respected by yourself. When nights get long and nobody sees the work, this is where the real transformation happens. Alone. No camera, no applause, no validation, just you and the decision to not betray yourself again. That's where power is born. You'll fail sometimes. That's not weakness. Staying down is weakness. Slipping is human. Staying soft is a choice. When you fall, you get up without emotion, without stories, without self-pity. You correct and continue. No mercy, only progress. This is the discipline that builds men and women who cannot be broken by pressure, loss, or pain. Because pain becomes familiar. Pressure becomes normal. Hard becomes home. You stop fearing discomfort because you've trained inside it. You stop fearing rejection because you've rejected your own excuses first. You stop fearing failure because you failed forward so many times it no longer defines you. The world starts to respond differently. Opportunities appear. Respect increases. Confidence becomes quiet and immovable. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. And here's the truth most people never accept. Greatness is not about being special. It's about being ruthless with your standards. Average people forgive themselves daily. Great people correct themselves daily. Every morning you wake up, there is a version of you that wants comfort and a version of you that wants domination. One wants sleep. One wants progress. One wants pleasure. One wants legacy. You don't negotiate between them. You choose which one lives, and the one you starve dies. This is not about becoming heartless. This is about becoming reliable. This is about becoming someone who does not collapse when things get hard. Someone who does not disappear when motivation fades. Someone who shows up whether it's convenient or not. That's power. So when life hits you, and it will, you don't flinch. You don't complain. You don't ask why. You adjust your grip and push harder. Because you already decided who you are. You are not the person who gives mercy to weakness. You are the person who demands greatness from yourself even when it hurts. Especially when it hurts. And one day, quietly, without warning, you'll look back and realize something incredible. The life you once dreamed of became your baseline. The discipline you once struggled with became your identity. The pain you once feared became your advantage. And the version of you that needed mercy never made it this far. That's the price. That's the reward. That's the path. No mercy for excuses. Full respect for your potential. Now go earn the life you say you want.